Discussion on godliness and spirituality. Today we're going to look at a defiled and polluted heart. A defiled heart, a heart that is dirty, a heart that is unclean, a heart that is polluted. A defiled and polluted heart. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 8. I read verse 16 to 17. Zechariah chapter 8. These are the things that you shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gate. Verse 17. Let not none of you imagine evil in your heart. Polluted, defiled heart, evil heart against his neighbor, or love no false oaths, for all these are things that I hate, said the Lord. A polluted heart, a defiled heart, a heart that is unclean, is generating uncleanness, is bringing out uncleanness. What is generating from the heart is unclean. What is thinking about every time is unclean. What is meditating is something that is very bad, very unclean. Is thinking of how to go and rape a person. Is thinking of how to go into another person's wife. How to take a young lady, how to take a young man and then sleep with. That's a defiled heart. That's a defiled and polluted heart. Is thinking of how to kill somebody. Is thinking of how to manipulate people. Is thinking of something that is unclean is always coming out from the heart. Something that is dirty is always coming out from the heart. Is thinking of how to make somebody to fall into a trap. Is thinking of witchcraft. Is thinking of how to manipulate the gifts of others. Is thinking of how to divert the gifts of others, how to divert the destiny of others. Is thinking of how to make people useless, how to make people fail, how to make people not to make any headway in their life. Polluted heart, unclean heart. Is thinking of all about immorality. Is thinking about fornication. Is thinking about adultery. Is thinking about man to man relationship, woman to woman relationship. Is thinking about how to defile a young girl, how to defile a young boy. Is thinking about how to sleep with a young boy, a young girl, how to sleep with a virgin, and then that's a defiled heart. An unclean heart. Is thinking of how to sleep with so many women, so many men. Is thinking of how to sleep with another person's man, another person's wife, another person's husband. That's a defiled heart. That's an unclean heart. Is thinking of how to rob others of their possession. That's an unclean heart. A clean, a defiled and polluted heart. Romans chapter 1, we read from verse 12 and get to the end. From verse 21, I beg your pardon. Romans chapter 1, from verse 25. Unclean, a defiled and polluted heart. Because that when they knew not God, when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, but were unthankful and became vain in their imagination. That's one characteristic of a defiled and polluted heart. They are vain in their imaginations. They are vain in their imagination. Everything they imagine is vanity, vain things, polluted, unclean things. And their foolish hearts was darkened. Their hearts is darkened. If you look at the state of their heart, it's very dark. That's how you know a defiled heart is very dark. It's bringing out dark works. It's bringing out dark, curious heart. It's bringing out curious works, dark works. That's how you know that the heart is polluted. It's thinking how to manipulate politics, how to manipulate government, how to manipulate the economy of a nation. It's thinking of how to manipulate the spiritual life of a person, the economy of a nation. Is thinking how to corner the resources of the people, that's a corrupted heart, a polluted heart, a defiled heart. It's thinking about how to how to corner the resources of an organization, corner the resources of company, corner the resources of a nation, corner the resources of an institution. He's thinking about how to further his name, how to take a lot of loot from people, from a nation. He's thinking about how to corner, in terms of religious circle, they are thinking about how to exploit the people, how to corner the resources of the people through a lot of means, through a lot of ways. Those are defiled heart, polluted heart. Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools. Verse 23. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man. They look at the things, the glory of God that cannot be defined. They go and define, especially the so-called false prophets, wicked, corrupt people that are always talking about tithe and offering, that are talking about tithe and offering, and they're using that to manipulate the people. They are manipulating the people in various ways, professing themselves and change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made to corruptible man and birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Verse 24. Wherewith also God gave them over to uncleanness. God had rejected them because they have subjected themselves into uncleanness and doing unclean things, corruptible things. Corruption, they are in full-fledged corruption through the lust of their own heart. They always lusting, always lust. Lust is filled, their heart is filled with lust. Their heart is filled with lust. Lust for money, lust for women, lust for men, lust for post, lust for position, lust for power, lust and lust and lust and lust. That's how you know a defiled and polluted heart. Lust of their own heart, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Homosexuality, lesbianism, man-to-man relationship, woman-to-woman relationship, an adult to a young girl of about 7 years relationship, and a big woman taking a boy of about 14 years, defiling them, man going into another man's wife, woman going into another woman's husband, defiling themselves. That's a polluted heart, unclean heart, a defiled heart. And who chained their own bodies between themselves, who chained the truth of God into lies. False prophets, false teachers, all these people who are moving around as GOs, as overseers, they are all defiled. They have defiled hearts. Their hearts are defiled. Many of them, they do unimaginable things in the secret. Some of them liaise with Satan, some liaise with devil, and liaise with the occultic world to do unimaginable things. Why? Because their hearts are defiled. Who change the truth of God into lie and worship and serve the creatures more than the creator. That is what they do. They are worshiping money, they are worshiping power, they are worshiping men, they are worshiping women. If you see those in position in the so-called religious leaders, they are worshiping politicians and worshiping politicians. They don't want to tell them the truth. They are worshiping wealthy people. They don't want to tell them the truth because they want to corner their results. They are polluted hearts. They are full of lies. They worship creatures more than the creator. For this cause also God gave them over to vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against the law. Look at what the women are doing. Uncleanness. Some of them are doing abominable things in this, when you talk about masturbation, that is uncleanness. And some of them are a lot of the pornography, masturbation, all those are unclean things. That's something. Anybody who is involved in pornography, is enjoying pornography, has a defiled heart. That's how you know a defiled heart. And always enjoying, going to all this internet and all the unclean things in the internet, enjoy watching them. That's how you know a defiled heart. The heart is already defiled. And the women doing on things that are not expected of them, and they want to become like man, or man becoming like a woman. That's unclean. That's a defiled heart. Change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also men living the natural use of woman, born in their lust, one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was made. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, no, because their heart is defiled, their heart is polluted, God gave them over to reprobate mind. Run away from somebody who has a polluted heart. It can take your daughter, it can take your boy, it can do anything with them, it can sacrifice with them. It sacrifices every time with human beings in order to keep his power, in order to keep himself in power, in political power, in order to keep himself in religious power, in order to keep his ministry growing, in order to keep, they sacrifice human beings, they sacrifice children, all the children, they use the children so many of them use the children in the church and sacrifice them. You can see a whole building falling and a lot of people dying. You think that it's natural. It's not natural. Sometimes it's not natural. They are sacrificing the people there to maintain their power. So many of them, they do abominable things. And they sacrifice human beings, they sacrifice the church members, they sacrifice their subjects, they sacrifice everything. I mean rituals. They go into rituals with their members. They use their members as ritual. They use children as ritual. Some of them use their wives, some of them use their husband, some of them even use their children. They go into because the heart is polluted, and so God gave them over to reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness. Fornication is there, wickedness is there, covetousness. That's how you know a defiled and polluted heart. Filled with all unrighteousness, because the heart is already defiled, because the heart is already polluted, is filled with unrighteousness, it's filled with unholiness. And what is going to be coming out of that defiled and polluted heart? Fornication, adultery, idolatry, wickedness, covetousness. They can covet everything they see. They can covet the wealth of the people. Maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedience to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable or merciful, who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do the same. Those of them will say, oh, go and do it. It doesn't matter. And they know the person is committing evil. They know that the person is doing wicked things. They say, no, it doesn't matter. Every other person is doing it. That person has a polluted heart. He said, oh, go and do this thing. Go, and you know that thing is evil. You know that thing is sinful. You know that thing is bad. Oh, everybody is taking resources. Everybody, when you are the president, you have to corner the resources of the people. You have to see, if you die, you have to be rich. As a president, you have to make sure that you are rich before you get out of that place. As somebody who is occupying a position, you have to make sure that you are rich before you get out of that place. It's coming out of a polluted and defiled heart. And the Lord will help us. The Lord will help us so that as many of us as are in this category, you change your ways.